Have you ever really stopped to think about how incredible it is that a simple thought, lift that, can make your arm move a heavy weight? It's not magic. It's an absolutely beautiful biological engine. And today, we're going to pop the hood and see exactly how it works.
So here's our game plan. We'll start with how a thought becomes an action. Then we'll trace the signal that kicks everything off. We'll dive deep into the sliding filament engine itself, then see how muscles power down. And finally, we'll look at why a sprinter's muscles are so different from a marathon runner's. All right, first up, from thought to action. So you decide you want to do a bicep curl. How does that decision, that electrical flicker in your brain, turn into actual physical force? We have to zoom way in to the microscopic level to find out.
It really does seem impossible, doesn't it? But the answer isn't magic. It's this breathtaking symphony of electricity and chemistry that happens billions of times a day inside of you. And it all boils down to one central idea.
This right here is the absolute key. When your muscles contract, they don't just bunch up like an accordion. No, what's really happening is that tiny protein filaments inside them are actively sliding past each other, kind of like lacing your fingers together. That sliding motion, that's the secret sauce. That's what creates force.
Okay, but what tells those filaments to start sliding in the first place? They don't just do it on their own. It all starts with a very specific, very fast signal that travels from your brain. So let's follow that signal on its journey. And this right here is the critical handoff point. It's where the nerve that's carrying the message meets the muscle. But get this, they don't actually touch. There's this tiny little gap between them. So to get the message across, the electrical signal from the nerve has to become a chemical signal.
And here's how that handoff plays out. First, that signal from your brain zips down a nerve. At the very end, it triggers the release of a chemical messenger, acetylcholine. That chemical then jumps the gap and kicks off a brand new electrical wave in the muscle itself. And that is the signal that opens the floodgates for our most important player, calcium.
And I want to be absolutely crystal clear on this. The bottom line is, without calcium, there is no muscle contraction, period. That whole lightning-fast relay race from your brain to your bicep, it's all just to get this one little key, calcium, to the lock on the muscle machinery. Once it's there, the real work can begin. Okay, the stage is set. We're deep inside the muscle fiber now, and calcium is flooding the scene. It's time for the main event, which is basically a molecular tug of war between two different proteins, a thin one called actin and a thick one called myosin. So remember that calcium key we were talking about? Well, this is the lock. Calcium shows up and binds to another protein called troponin. You can think of troponin as being like a safety latch that's covering the spots where the two filaments need to connect. When calcium binds to it, the whole thing changes shape, and that latch moves out of the way, revealing the active sites.
And now the engine starts, and it's this incredibly fast four-step cycle. First, the myosin heads, which are powered by our body's energy currency, ATP, grab onto those now exposed spots on the actin. Second, they pull. This is the power stroke, and it yanks the actin filament inwards. Third, a new molecule of ATP comes along and binds to the myosin, which makes it let go. And finally, the myosin head resets itself, ready to grab and pull all over again. It's just a constant rapid-fire cycle: bind, pull, release, reset.
So just picture this, millions of these tiny myosin heads, all working at the exact same time, pulling those actin filaments closer together. This shortens the entire unit, called the sarcomere. And when all the sarcomeres in a muscle fiber shorten together, boom, that's what you feel as a muscle contraction. Okay, so contracting is one thing. But just as important is, well, stopping. You have to be able to put the weight down, right? So let's look at what happens when the work is done, how muscles relax, and why, sometimes, they just get plain tired. So how do we hit the brakes on this whole process? It's actually really simple and pretty elegant. The muscle cell just actively pumps all of that calcium back into storage, getting it out of the way. With no calcium, that troponin safety latch goes right back into place, covering the binding sites. The myosin has nothing to grab onto, the sliding stops, and the muscle relaxes. Simple as that.
You know that feeling, right? That burn when you're pushing for just one more rep in a really tough workout? That's your muscles starting to run low on oxygen. To keep going, they have to switch to this emergency energy system, which unfortunately creates a byproduct, lactic acid. And that buildup is one of the main reasons you start to feel that muscle fatigue.
Now this is where things get really cool. It turns out not all muscle fibers in your body are created equal.
You have highly specialized fibers for different jobs. Just think about a powerful sprinter and an endurance marathon runner. They are built completely differently, all the way down to their individual muscle cells. So let's break it down. You have red fibers, which are built for endurance. They're red because they're packed with myoglobin, which stores oxygen, and they're loaded with mitochondria, the little powerhouses of the cell. Then you have white fibers, which are built for raw power. They don't need all that oxygen processing machinery because they're designed for short, explosive bursts of energy. So to put it simply, a marathon runner's legs are going to be dominated by those red endurance fibers that can just go and go. A powerlifter or a sprinter, though, their muscles are packed with those powerful white fibers, totally primed for explosive short-term force. One's for the long haul, the other's for the blast-off.
And that leads us to maybe the coolest part of this whole story. You're not just stuck with the muscle fibers you have. Your body is incredibly adaptive. If you train for endurance, your muscles will literally start to take on more characteristics of those red fibers. If you lift heavy, you'll build bigger, stronger white fibers. With every single workout, you are telling your body what kind of machine you want it to be. Which leaves just one question. What are you building?